and there, with no intention of converting, of course, it was, why would I convert to Islam?
Who are you by profession, if I might? Are you a pastor, so-called in American town?
I just have a simple office job. I don't have any ministry at all, but I'm very interested in comparative religion, or always have been, particularly the Abrahamic faith, obviously, of Judaism.
Really?
And Islam. Yes.
You are a Muslim officially or not?
Not officially.
Okay, not officially. Okay.
Unofficially, I do accept that, but. And because of my upbringing I didn't have a Christian upbringing, but in my school, it was a Christian school, I suppose, nominally Christian. That was the only kind of spiritual path that I related to and understood. So I eventually went to my local church. And after a couple of years of thinking and reading the Bible and stuff, I did become a Christian. And that was great, but it was problematic because at the same time, because I've always been an avid reader, I of course started to read the Bible, which I had no knowledge of. So, and that was great. And some of it was really inspiring and moving, and I encountered it as God's word to me, the Bible. But there were other bits of the Bible which disturbed me and raised questions, awkward questions, about, who was Jesus and so on. And that sent me on a new journey of looking for answers, which inevitably I went to books for. I did go to my pastor for answers. I didn't really get any answers, unfortunately, and that was a bit worrying. So I went to biblical commentaries and other things, and I became aware of a whole world called biblical scholarship, which raised yet more questions, which I didn't even know were issues after some years of being a Christian. And ultimately, I became a Catholic, actually. When I was at university studying Christian theology, for various reasons, I embraced Catholicism. A year or so after that, I was becoming quite Islamophobic for a whole bunch of reasons to do with where I'm living. And I decided to just go to my local mosque to learn more about Islam. And that mosque was Regent's Park Mosque, which is probably the most famous mosque in London. And there, with no intention of converting, of course, it was, why would I convert to Islam? I was a Christian. But I discovered something I'd never really experienced before, and that is real Islam from actual Muslims who knew the faith. And so I read the Quran in English, translation from cover to cover. I argued with some of them, about who Jesus was, because I was a Christian. But then I discovered there were other ways of understanding God, other ways of understanding Jesus. The jewel in Islam for me then, and still is in some ways, is this man called Muhammad, upon him be peace. To actually learn about this most extraordinary of human beings was a real stunning revelation. I thought, wow, why haven't I been told about him before? And so I read Martin Lings's celebrated Sirah, its biography in English, which I really recommend. And that was an astonishing eye-opener. And of course, then I had this dilemma. Okay, if Jesus was sent by God, which obviously I did believe as a Christian, Muhammad, he had all the characteristics of an authentic messenger, prophet of God. His life, his teaching, his personality, his integrity, his sheer amazingness. By what right did I have to affirm the former and not the latter as sent by God? And this was the dilemma. So I came to the conclusion, actually, they're both sent by God. I know it sounds obvious to Muslims, but to me, it was a difficult path to tread and to actually come to that point. And so it wasn't just a simple intellectual exercise. If I accept that Muhammad was a prophet of God, that had consequences for my life. And boy, did it have consequences for my life. So ultimately, I did say the Shahada. and Islam answered many of the profound problems I had within Christianity. Islam had the answers to them, which is, again, amazing. I didn't expect any other religion to actually have answers to the problems, like problem of evil. Islam has the problem of suffering has real answers, which Christianity unfortunately doesn't have. And I don't say that with any. I wish Christianity would take these answers and just use them, but it doesn't. It just ignores them. I rushed to embrace a religion which would have meant alienating most of my friends, and it did. And I lost some very close, good friends of mine who, the moment I said my Shahada, refused to ever speak to me again. And that was quite hurtful. And I mean, they wouldn't talk about it. It was not like we had an argument and a row. They just they were so appalled by what I did that they refused to speak to me ever again. So, and I suspected something like that would happen because some of my Christian friends, were quite Islamophobic as well. I crossed over to the enemy camp, so to speak, in their point of view. So.